20th century, new methods were developed around the world, such as tracking a person and asking the entire world to help in arresting them. And to capture that person, a reward is offered, often very large, substantial rewards. This issue became more serious after World War II, and organizations such as the United Nations and Interpol were established, with different countries cooperating with them. Edward Snowden was an employee of the NSA, or the United States National Security Agency, and due to his job, he had access to highly classified information. He discovered while working there that the NSA and the CIA were spying on the American public. Snowden says to himself, didn't the US Constitution prohibit this? So why are they doing it? He decides to expose this issue, and after revealing it, it becomes the top headline in news around the world. After that, the US government immediately put Snowden under pursuit on charges of treason. Knowing he would likely be arrested, Snowden first went to Hong Kong and later ended up in Moscow. Since Russia did not have an extradition treaty with the United States, it did not hand him over and granted Snowden asylum. The US government also revokes Snowden's passport and citizenship, turning him into a stateless individual. About 13 years have passed since this incident, and Snowden is still under pursuit. His exact whereabouts in Russia remain unknown. Some people in the United States consider him a hero, while others see him as a traitor to the country. Ted Kaczynski, known as the Unabomber, was a brilliant student at Harvard University who allegedly became involved in MK-Ultra experiments conducted by the CIA. This organization, through drugs and experiments conducted on Ted, allegedly caused his brain to develop disorders, and he began to think about taking revenge on this organization. As he got older, he decided to target professors and brilliant university academics using bombs that he built himself. He built bombs using simple materials and then mailed them, sending the packages to the homes of the people he intended to target. He was so skilled that he carried out these actions for decades without anyone even knowing it was him, and it became a major embarrassment for the FBI. Incredibly, the FBI spent enormous resources trying to capture Ted Kaczynski, but those efforts were ultimately unsuccessful for a long time. In 1995, Ted Kaczynski wrote a letter to the New York Times in which he revealed that he was the Unabomber, that the bombings were his doing, and he also explained his reasons for them. The next day, the New York Times published the letter as its front-page headline, and Ted's younger brother read the newspaper. From the writing style, he realized that it was his brother who had written it. His brother contacted the FBI and explained the situation. Kaczynski was then arrested at his remote cabin in the woods after more than 20 years, during which over $50 million had been spent on the investigation. The next most wanted person is an individual from the African continent, Uganda. Joseph Kony was a warlord who, in 1987, formed a rebel group in Uganda known as the Lord's Resistance Army, LRA. For nearly 30 years, this man led an armed group in Uganda that abducted children. They even kidnapped boys as young as 7 years old and forced them to become child soldiers. During the 30 years that he remained in power, approximately 66,000 children were abducted. 18 years after the beginning of his activities, in 2005, the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for Joseph Kony's arrest and offered a reward of $5 million for information leading to his capture. But in practice, nothing happened. and Joseph Kony continued to hold Uganda hostage with the army he had built. The next most wanted individual is a man known as Carlos the Jackal. His real name is Ilich Ramirez Sanchez, a Venezuelan Marxist who became internationally known under the nickname Carlos the Jackal. Carlos was one of the most wanted terrorists of the 1970s and 1980s. In 1975, Carlos attacked the OPEC headquarters in Vienna and took the oil ministers attending the meeting hostage. Two of the most important oil ministers were among the hostages: Jamshid Amuzagar, Iran's Minister of Oil, and Ahmed Zaki Yamani, Saudi Arabia's Minister of Petroleum. After the hostage-taking, he declared that these two men should be executed, and a private aircraft was arranged for him so he could travel to Libya. It is also said that the Saudi government paid a large sum of money to ensure that he would not harm or kill anyone. After this hostage-taking, Carlos became one of the most wanted terrorists in the world. Almost all countries were actively seeking his arrest, except for some communist states, such as Libya, which reportedly supported him in order to carry out sabotage operations in the West. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, he lost much of his influence and power. In 1994, while carrying out an operation in Sudan, he was captured by French secret agents and taken to France. The court sentenced him to life imprisonment, and today, at the age of 76, he is still held in La Santé prison in Paris. The next most wanted individual is someone almost everyone knows: Pablo Escobar. He was the largest drug trafficker in history, as he reportedly distributed around $420 million worth of cocaine per week around the world. He was not only a drug trafficker, but also had multiple criminal charges, including murder, kidnapping, and various acts of sabotage. In 1991, the United States government placed a $50 million reward for the capture of Escobar. Even though such a large reward had been offered, it still took around 16 months to capture him. However, he was not arrested in the end. He was killed as he refused to surrender. Finally, he was located with the help of the Colombian police and the United States, and he was killed during the operation. Because of this, the reward was never actually claimed by anyone. In northern Mexico, we now move on to a major cartel leader known as the Sinaloa boss, El Chapo. Many people believe that he continued in Pablo Escobar's footsteps, meaning he was the next generation after Pablo Escobar. The Mexican government offered a reward of $3.8 million for his capture, and the United States government also announced a $5 million reward for his arrest. In 2014, the Mexican police managed to arrest El Chapo in the state of Mazatlan, Mexico, and transferred him to the maximum security prison, Altiplano. However, within a year, El Chapo planned his escape and successfully broke out of there. He bought a house near the prison and dug a tunnel about 1 kilometer long from that house into the prison. A motorcycle was placed in the tunnel so that El Chapo could travel that 1 kilometer quickly and escape. He was arrested again a few months later, but this time he was extradited to the United States and sent to ADX Florence prison in Colorado, where escaping is considered almost impossible. He has been in this prison for about 10 years, and he is serving a life sentence. Thank you for watching this episode of Historic Play. If you enjoy deep dives into history, wars, empires, and the events that shaped our world, make sure to subscribe and join our growing community. Until the next video, this is Historic Play signing off.